Work, tourist attraction. Co-workers, Jefferson, Luiz Felipe, Marcos Cruz, Marcos Nascimento, and Mihaisa Alves. General objective. The purpose of this study was to demonstrate that the factor of choice to define a tourist attraction to visit or have fun differs from person to person, taking into account age, gender, and past experiences. The place chosen for the execution of the survey was Brasilia, federal capital of Brazil, a city that has approximately 3 million inhabitants, according to the data from Instituto Brasileiro de Geografia e Estatística, IBGE, of 2016. Cultural heritage of humanity is one of the major titles of conferred on the architecture of Brasilia. This was given by the United Nations Organization, UN. The city has several tourist attractions, especially the Praça dos Três Poderes, where the Palácio do Planalto, Executive, Supremo Tribunal Federal, Judiciary, and Congresso Nacional Legislative are located. Also, the Ponte Juscelino Kubitschek, which was awarded several times for its aesthetic qualities, and the Torre de TV, which has the panoramic view of the whole city. Then 6 different places were first pointed out from each of the interviewed had have an interaction, plus 2 answers, positive and negative. These names were noted in papers to be drawn afterwards. The interviewee then draws 3 of the 8 options evaluable and indicates a construct of the relationship from each interviewee. 15 draws were made, and each of them a different construct had to exist. In all, 10 people were interviewing, obtaining 150 answers. Some of the each were the same as others. These 150 responses were grouped in 23 constructs that were later evaluated by experts from the Centro de Excelência em Turismo of the Universidade de Brasília. With the evaluation, the most relevant constructs among the preselected were found. These relevancies found from a calculation and construct in only considered valid and important from the research if it's greater than 60% in concordance index. Finally, a new form for common users of the tourism attractions is prepared to identify then preference and which points they resemble those of the specialists. Results. After analyzing the interviews, the allocation of value to each of the 23 constructs of the survey was computed. The research sample was divided into 2 groups, a group of 77 specialists in tourism and another group with 102 tourists called users. The gender and the age range of each participant were constituted. Among gender specialists, there were 29% of men and 71% women. Among users, this proportion was 51% male and 49% female. Regarding the age group, the predominant age was 18 to 25 years in both groups. Among the specialists, 62% of the respondents were between 18 and 25 years old. Among users, the age group corresponded to 69% respondents. From the data presented, we noticed that there were similarities between the order of the importance for experts and users in only a few cases. Among the 3 most relevant values for the user were landscape 93.2%, cleaning and organization 90.3%, and security 85.4%. For the specialists, cleaning and organization, 96.1%, security, 96.1%, and environment, 94.8%. We noticed that the expectations of both of these questions are very close, and the high percents presented highlight the importance of those constructs. In table 1, we have a comparison of the value of each of the constructs in the view of experts and users. The methodology used was in explore research with a quantitative approach because it makes use of a questionnaire that allows to explain numbers, the opinions, and information acquired using statistical techniques. For that study was used to the technique of repertory grid, differed from the theory of personal constructs of George A. Cayley, 1955. The repertory grid technique is done in 4 steps. In the first one, selected elements with which the interviewee has had some experience. The 3 elements will be chosen at random, and it is up to the interviewee to say at what point the 2 elements are similar and in what differs from the turf. Then, based on the answers given by the interviewee, the constructs are created. Finally, a table is made where information from other interviewee will be gathered and to know, in fact, what else is relevant. Final considerations. The use of repertory grid technique to qualify the constructs of individual interviewed proved to be a simple and very powerful tool in which fundamental constructs were obtained when choosing the tourist spots such as landscape, cleanliness, and organization, safety, price, environment, altitude, location, business hours, leisure activities, food. These constructs show the concordance factor created than 60% for the 2 groups research indicate the importance of these requirements for the choice of tourist spot. For most people to visit a tourist attraction is considered a high environment activity because it is directly related to vacations, rest, and leisure, and present considerable financial and psychological costs, as well as representing symbolic religions and social status value. Among the difficulties encountered in the research are the difficulty of understanding the participants with some of the questions, especially those of yes or no, even though they are presented in a clear and objective way, some containing a brief description. Difficult to analyze the point of view of Brazilians with the vision of the tourist, and the difficulty of generation by the young public 18-25 years. Whatever, many interviewers suggested the inclusion of items of sustainability, showing concern for a theme so recurrent today. Although the difficulties encountered, the results of research were satisfactory, and they were as expected between the experts and the general public. For future studies, it should be interesting to include other Brazilian regions by interviewing a large number of different customers and experiences, contributing to the information of more comprehensive and accurate constructs. Biography below.